I want to welcome everyone and thank you all for joining us today. So joining us, let me tell you who us is. My name is Amber Ashworth, and I am the Coalition Coordinator for Southwest Louisiana. And I'm going to let my co-host, which is today's wizard behind the curtain, introduce himself.
On behalf of Ashley Moran, this is Ron Chakowski, Safety Coordinator for the Acadiana region. And thanks to everyone for joining us today.
Absolutely. So Ron and I are two of 9 regional coalition coordinators that make up the state program Destination Zero Deaths. And today our training topic, let me go ahead and switch to that screen, is the Louisiana Crash Dashboard Training. Okay, so what this is this is a way that we help identify the who, the when, the where of crashes occurring on our roadways. And this is to help us with trending. And that identification is part of the data-driven process of our state program that I was just discussing, Destination Zero Deaths. So what Destination Zero Deaths is, it's a program built to support Louisiana's Strategic Highway Safety Plan. And that is a big document that the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development partnered with the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission to come up with ways to address fatal and serious injury crashes on our roadways throughout our state. But the thing is that they came up with this wonderful document that is data-driven and has a lot of input from safety stakeholders across the state leaders, experts. But this document needed a way to be implemented across the state. And that's where the regional safety coalitions come in. And the mission of the Strategic Highway Safety Plan, and therefore Destination Zero Deaths, is to reduce the human and economic toll on Louisiana's surface transportation system due to these traffic crashes through wide reach collaboration and an integrated 4E approach. And we're going to get to those 4Es momentarily. But the vision is to reach Destination Zero Deaths on all Louisiana roadways. And so you say to yourself, okay, zero, that is kind of far-fetched. But this is one way that we look at it. So we can look at the amount of deaths and serious injuries we see in our numbers coming every day. And to think, how can we get all the way down to zero? That is kind of a way out there goal. But when you think about it this way, you ask yourself, what is my personal goal for my family, my friends, my colleagues, when I think of them out on the roadways? To me, that's pretty easy. For my family, my friends, my colleagues, I want it at zero. So if every person here in this state, every family, every agency, every business, every school puts their goal at zero, then that large statewide goal of zero doesn't seem so far-fetched anymore. Because if we all have that goal, we're all driving towards the same mission, the same vision. So I just wanted to let you know kind of what our drive is and where it comes from, and to really let you know that it's not that far-fetched, not if we are all on the same train. So you ask yourself, well, as driving schools, where do we fall into this? Well, do you remember me mentioning the 4Es? Okay, so the 4Es that the Strategic Highway Safety Plan is collaborating with is law enforcement. So you have enforcement as 1E, emergency services as a 2nd E, engineering, Engineering falls into our infrastructure and the operations of that infrastructure. And then you have education, and that's where you guys come in. You are educating our young drivers, our non-expert drivers, our first-time drivers. You are setting the tone, the education, the foundation of the type of drivers that they'll eventually become. So you play a critical role in our goal towards Destination Zero deaths. It's just like in primary education. Primary education teachers are so important because they lay that foundational structure of reading, of mathematics, of everything they'll use and build upon going forward. And that's what you guys do. You are the foundation for building blocks to come. So what you can do is give them the best tools, the best knowledge that you have to start beginning to build their toolbox. So we talked about these 9 regional safety coalitions across the state. Remember that number, there are 9 of us. And what we do is we support that big document I was talking about, the Strategic Highway Safety Plan for Louisiana. And I did say that it's data driven. So part of that data drivenness is not only looking at the where these crashes are occurring, it's the how and the why, what is driving them. So every 5 years, this big document, the Strategic Highway Safety Plan, is updated. And part of that updated is part of that data-driven process of the who, the why, and the where. And part of that is narrowing down that analysis to find out what are the main contributing factors that we've been seeing over the past 5 years that are lending and yielding themselves to contribute to these crashes on our roadways, to these fatal crashes, to these serious injuries where we're losing our community members. And in this last strategic highway safety plan, there were 5 emphasis areas identified. They are distracted driving, impaired driving, infrastructure and operations, meaning the layout of our roadways, how they're built, the safety measures of them, and the operations and maintenance of those. After infrastructure and operations comes occupant protection. Occupant protection is exactly what it sounds like. That is being restrained in a vehicle from birth to drivers of all ages. And then lastly, we have young drivers, and that's where all of you come in. Now, I did not list those in any order that is numerically related. I tend to list them in alphabetical order, so I do not miss any of them. So going back to, okay, where do you guys fall in on all of this? And like I said, you are part of the young drivers. And every year, our 9 coalitions work with the statewide leaders of these 5 emphasis areas to update our annual action plans for each of these emphasis areas. And for young drivers, driving schools are all over this action plan. But one specific step is our Young Drivers Action Step 2.1. And this is to provide this SHSP, which is the Strategic Highway Safety Plan, data dashboard training. And we're doing this so we can promote accuracy in the usage and enhance awareness and understanding of crash data trends. And one of our beneficial audiences is you guys, along with law enforcement, along with media, along with public health agencies. We want to make sure that you have accurate data, that the data is standardized. But more so than that, we want to give you a user-friendly tool that you have at your fingertips to pull the data that you need for your part in this strategic highway safety plan. So before I go on, are there any questions right now before I move forward? We haven't even gotten into the actual training, just the introduction. Any questions, Ron? Okay, perfect. All right, so a big part of what we do begins with data analysis, because everything we do is a data-driven approach. And the Center for Analytics and Research in Transportation Safety, remember that, also known as CARTS, provides this dashboard for everyone here in Louisiana. This is a hidden jewel that we want to promote. It's been there, and I just don't think enough people know about it, but we're going to change that. But what they do is they collect all of the crash data that we receive from what we call LA Crash 1, 2, and 3. And what they do with that data, and that data comes from all of the law enforcement agencies around the state, is they take that data and they bundle it into this dashboard. They compile it. They take out the confidential information and tear it down to major trending. And CARTS provides this dashboard, like I said, that's very user-friendly, and it allows for instructors such as yourself, other agencies, to look at the major trends either at the statewide level, at the regional level that you're in, at the parish level that you're in. And not only that, you can tear it down even more to hot times of the year, to gender, to age. You can sort it by contributing factor. There is so much that you can look at here. And today I'm going to go through just kind of a summary of this dashboard and focus more in on the aspects of it that you can use for young drivers. And I don't want anyone to get overwhelmed because, like I said, it is very user-friendly, but there's so much you can do with it. Do know that everyone that is here today, there is going to be a quiz in order for you to get your CEU credit. But once you take that quiz, what we're going to do is we're going to send out the certificates, but also send out a bulleted summary that you can use as a reference guide when going back to the Center for Analytics and Research in Transportation Safety, to this dashboard. Remember, that stands for CARTS. And so let's just go ahead and jump in. So this is what the main page of CARTS looks like. So, like I said, let's get started. What you're going to do when you're off by yourself and you're thinking, hey, you know, I really need this information for this next class I have coming. I'd love to get a visual, maybe some charts, maybe some graphs. I'd love to see how the data has changed from last year to the year before. Are we doing any better? Are we doing any worse? Well, this is where you're going to go. You're going to go into your browser and you're going to type in www.carts.lsu.edu. Okay, and where that's going to bring you, I'm going to show you right here, is that main page. Once you get here, you're going to search on here and you see this data reports. That's where you're going to go. So then it brings you to another menu. And let me tell you, you can get down some rabbit holes because they have got some wonderful information on here. But for today's purposes, we're going to go ahead and look at the SHSP reports. So you're going to come down here and you're going to click right here on these SHSP reports. Okay, so here you have your different dashboards. And I'm going to click back over here. On these dashboards you get to select from, you have emphasis area selection, target setting, crash, driver, person, vulnerable users, which are your bicyclists, your pedestrians, exactly what the name yields to, and crash normalized and person normalized. Now, if I were in your seat, I would probably be looking mostly at the crash, driver, or person dashboards, and we'll spend a little bit more time on those today. But let's go ahead and dive into the first dashboard, which is the emphasis area selection. And remember, you've gone to www.carts.lsu.edu. You've clicked on data reports, then you've clicked on SHSP reports, and then you're going to click on this emphasis area selection dashboard. So once you do that, that's the first dashboard you can choose from. You're going to see a screen like this, and it's beautiful. It's color coded. This emphasis area selection dashboard provides information on contributing factors for crashes throughout Louisiana. What's so cool about this is that you can filter by your safety coalition. Now, your safety coalition is going to be the region that you're in. You can filter by contributing factor, by injury level, and let's just see here real quick. All right, we're going to actually go to this dashboard so we can follow some of these steps. I'm sorry, give me just a second. There we go. Okay, so in real time, this is what your emphasis area selection dashboard looks like. So like I said, you're going to, on every single dashboard, you're going to be able to filter your reports by your safety coalition. For this one, I am going to, I'll do Acadiana for this one. And we have the contributing factor as alcohol involved, but I could click on there. And let's go down and let's hit young driver. So contributing factor, what this means is that what is the main factor that was the cause of this particular crash? All right, so you can have impaired driving, distracted driving, and this contributing factor, let me back up a little bit. Contributing factor to the injury level of this particular crash, because it could be, like I said, distracted driving, impaired driving. Let's see what young drivers. There are an epiphany right here of things that can cause or contribute to the injury level of this particular crash. And I've selected Acadiana, young driver, and injury level fatal. And as you can see, when I change one of these filters, your charts and bars are going to change. All right. So this has given you in Acadiana for young drivers suspected serious injury crashes from 2005 to 2021. You can highlight over any one of these bars and get detailed information for that particular year. And if you look right here, I could click on keep only, and it's going to go to just that year, but I'm not going to do that right now. So I've clicked out of that, and it brings us back to all of this. Again, you can click on any one of these and get more specific information for that particular year. It's going to show you, we're looking at 2019 right now. Says in 2019, of the 181 suspected serious injuries which occurred in Acadiana, 52 were associated with the contributing factor of young drivers. Okay, and then it's going to break it down even more. Down here, we have the contributing factors in a line graph. But I want to go down here to show you, this is something else that you can do on each dashboard, is you can click this download right here, and for this image or for the page, if I wanted of a specific graph, then I would click on that graph beforehand. If I wanted of this entire page, I'm going to go down here and click download. I can do it as an image. I can download just the data, crosstab, PDF, or PowerPoint. Now, I'm going to show you real quick by clicking on PDF. I'm going to download it. And if this takes too long, then we'll just skip over it. But no, here it is. Let's see, did you get my new view? Okay, so you instantly have something that you can incorporate into your lesson plan, into a presentation, into any type of justification. For instance, if you're applying for funds, you have this at your fingertips, and you can tear it down even further. You can save it, you can print it, you can share it. So I'm going to click back out of that and go back to our data reports right here. Okay, so we've looked at everything on this page regarding the actual data. I want you to see up here, you have something called SHSP data definitions. So if you click on this, it's going to give you a breakdown of the most commonly used terms throughout these dashboards. There is a more extensive list of definitions that I will also be sending with your summarized bulleted reference sheet. Okay, so before I go on to the next dashboard, are there any questions at this point regarding the emphasis area selection dashboard? And let me say this real quick. The emphasis area selection is tied to this contributing factor. Remember, I said we had 5 major emphasis areas that we have focused on in this past SHSP. You'll find those 5 in here. And why there is more than 5, for instance, in infrastructure and operations, we have 3 focus areas. We have roadway departures, we have intersections, and that's where vulnerable users falls into. And in vulnerable users, we have pedestrians, we have cyclists, we have motorcycles. And even though right now young drivers is an emphasis area, older drivers we have seen contribute to a certain amount of crashes. So that is also in here as well. So are there any questions before I move on to the next dashboard? Okay, great. And not to worry, if you come up with questions afterwards, you are going to have our contact information to get back in touch with us, as well as Janine, who is another wizard, but she's a wizard with CARTS, who does presentations on this quite a bit. Okay, in the line graph across the bottom are the percentages still of young drivers if that is the contributing factor selected. Okay, so let's click on one of these right here. Okay, in 2011, 55.93% of all suspected serious injuries in the Acadiana Transportation Safety Coalition were the contributing factor of roadway departure. So I would not say this is specific to young drivers, because you have young driver right here. Contributing factor of bicycle. Oh, because I have bicycle highlighted. I'm sorry. Give me just a second. Young drivers. Okay, so let's go here. So no, down here, and that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. And I will make sure with CARTS that I am saying this right, that down here is an overview summary of all of the contributing factors. So no, this is not specifically for young drivers down here. Up here is where you're going to have your young driver information. Okay, but that is a good question, because in our dashboards going forward, and some of the ones I'm going to show you, you will need to know how to navigate to know exactly what it is you're looking at. And even for coordinators like myself, there are times that we get hung up and need to get some assistance on specifying what it is we're trying to get down to. Okay, the question was in the line graph at the bottom here, is this specific to the percentage of young drivers for the contributing factor selected? And I am not 100% sure, and I will get clarification, but from what I'm looking at, this is the percentage of suspected serious injuries of each of the contributing factors, not by that specific contributing factor. So let me change it to see if that line graph changes at all. So I'm going to change it to older driver. I may have said that wrong. .45. Give me just a second, because I do not want to leave you guys with the wrong information. Older driver. 45 point. Okay, Ron, remember 45.54% for me. I'm going to switch back to young driver right here. Okay, so as I suspected, no, the bottom line graphs are not specific to the contributing factor that you've selected. The bottom line graphs are an overview of all of the contributing factors across the years. What is specific to the contributing factor is up here. One more thing I want to show you before we move on is not only can you pare it down to your coalition, the contributing factor and injury level. Say if you want to just look at Vermilion Parish for this information, you can click on that. You can hit keep only, and it's going to change all of your information. Let's see. Of course, it's not. It's going to change your information to that parish. Let me hit home there and get back out of that. Okay, so I am going to move on to the next dashboard. Oh, we have two hands up. Okay.
Corville has a question. I'm opening her up now.
All right, Ms. Corville, what's your question? You're on mute right now. Can you unmute yourself, or do we need to do there?
I don't have a question.
Oh, okay. The hand was raised.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Danny Broussard, do you have a question? Can you unmute Danny?
I'm sorry. No, I don't either. Did I have that? I think I must have pressed hand raise. My bad.
That's okay. Not a problem.
Right.
Okay, so we have gone over the emphasis area selection dashboard, and I'm going to go through this next dashboard a little bit quickly because it is very similar to the emphasis area selection. I want to get to the ones where you guys are going to utilize a little bit more. This next one is the target setting dashboard. So in this target setting dashboard, this provides information on the SHSP crash counts and compares them to the SHSP goals that we have to help see how the state of Louisiana, or again, your region or your parish, is doing in terms of getting the number of crashes lowered every year. And again, you'll see over here that you can tier this analysis down to the region, to the injury level, and to the contributing factor. And when you do that, these graphs and everything are going to change. You also still have your SHSP data definitions here. You've got your state of Louisiana here. So when you change or filter it by your regional coalition, you can still tier that analysis down to a particular parish. And you're going to see just how well or not so well we're doing at meeting our goal of destination zero. And if we are trending up or down in any particular area or contributing factor or injury level. Again, just like the other dashboard, you're going to have the opportunity to download, whether it be an image, a PDF, just the data, or the PowerPoint, so you can save, print, and incorporate into what you are doing. So, any questions on the target setting dashboard before we move on? Ron?
No questions.
Perfect. Okay, so let's get into the meat and gravy of it. We are now looking at the crash data dashboard. This dashboard is going to provide information on severe injury and fatal crashes. It says right here 2 dashboards in one, but it's actually multiple dashboards. So I'm going to go to the live view of this one, so you can see everything that this dashboard has to offer. Now, this one is going to look different than the first 2 that we looked at, but the dashboards following this are going to be very similar as to the layout. So let's take a look at this layout. First thing I want you to notice is up here, you have report filters, similar to what you saw before. Safety coalition, you can filter it by your safety coalition. Again, that's the region you're in. If you don't know what region you're in, what your safety coalition is termed, go to Destination Zero Deaths online, and you will find your regional safety coalition information, as well as the coordinator and how to get in touch with him or her. Severity, contributing factor, and here it's narrowed down to, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whether older drivers were involved, whether younger drivers were involved. And this is where, again, where you're going to want to make sure you have that filter turned on, because you want to see the crashes that are contributed by the young people that we are educating, and that we are hopefully deterring unsafe driving behaviors. The year range, last 3 years, last five years, last 7 years, or all years. You also can do individual years by this toolbar up here. Manual year selection right here. You can click on any, like I said, any of these years. Now, right here, again, like I said, this is multiple dashboards in one. Well, let's go ahead and change. Everything we see right here is state information. You see the number of crashes. Each of these years, you can click on any of these points and get detailed information for those years. You have a breakdown of the trending in months over the year. And you'll see the dark gray line is fatal. The light gray is your serious injuries. So you can click on any of those months. Down here, you have the day of the week and the hour. So not only do you get the trending months, you get down to the trending day of the week and the hour. And like I said, again, let's go ahead and click on this time. We'll do Southwest Louisiana. It's Allen, Beauregard, Calcasieu, Cameron, and Jefferson Davis parishes. You can see that all of this information is changed, all right? We have a total crash count of these years, total fatal, of 503, severe crash count of 699. You can hover over any of these to get some more specific information on those. Again, you can click on a parish to get more detailed and tiered down analysis of that parish. So I'm going to click on the parish. Okay, so all of these charts and these numbers have changed to just Calcasieu. Now, if I'm a driving instructor, okay, say I'm a driving instructor in Calcasieu, and I've looked at all this. Okay, here's my region, severity all, contributing factor. Let's see. I'm going to keep that all right now. Older driver, no, but younger driver, yes, I want to see if, and there are my numbers for crashes involving young drivers for these amounts. Now, what I do want to tell you is that when you look over here or you look at your fatal count, this doesn't mean that all of these 85 were young drivers. This just means that a young driver was involved in this crash. So this would mean that 85 fatal crashes had a contributing factor or a young driver was involved. But the people who perished in these crashes may not have necessarily been the young driver. All right, same with the severe crash count. But what I wanted to show you, going back to, you have multiple dashboards in one. You can create multiple reports. I have all of these factors selected. Now, I can either hit here or I can hit it up here. Right now we have crash time. So it gives you specifics on the month, the day of the week, the time. Now I want to hit crash characteristics. I want to get some different information for that same target group that I have selected for Calcasieu Parish, for those years, for young drivers. And what I now have are the crash characteristics of all of these crashes involving young drivers from that time span. And I can look and I can see that 127 of these were non-collision with motor vehicle. Well, I may be thinking to myself, well, what does that mean? I could then go back to the sheet that I'm going to send you guys, or you can go to the main dashboard and get the definitions of that to see what is a non-collision with a motor vehicle. All right, then the next one is right angles. So I'm looking at that and thinking, okay, well, a lot of our young drivers are being involved in right angle crashes. So these are the manner of collisions. What are the contributing factors? Violations. Wow, 232 are violations. So what that may tell me as a driving school instructor is that our young drivers may be out there engaging in driving behaviors that are not lawful or that are not following the safety recommendations of our roadways. All right, so down here you can see your roadway features, the interstate, what type of interstate, US highway, state roadway. And remember, again, you can toggle over any of these and it's going to give you more detailed information. And you can click on them and it's going to, again, give you that information. So if I want to back out of, let's see. Okay, let's see how. Okay, so when I want to go back to the normal view and get out of just a parish view, you'll hit home. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to click on I'm in Beauregard right now, and it changes all of my information to Beauregard. Okay, so I clicked in the white area to bring it back. So I told you that wrong by clicking home. I clicked in the white area to bring it back to all parishes. And again, you can share, you can download, bring it to full screen. So are there any questions on this particular dashboard? This is the crash dashboard. So you have crash characteristics and you have time. Okay, no questions. And we've got 15 minutes, so I'm going to try and scoot along real quick. Okay, so our next dashboard that we have is going to be specific to the driver. Okay, so again, the dashboard looks very similar. And this driver dashboard is going to provide information on drivers involved in suspected serious injury and fatal crashes. Again, multiple dashboards in one. You have your filters, you have your years. You have up here where you can switch in between driver time, driver characteristics, driver demographics, which will also be in this filter list. So let me hop over to this actual dashboard quickly. All right, so I am looking here and statewide over the time span from 2013 to 2021, there have been 4,803 fatalities, 8,553 serious injuries. You can filter here by your injury level. You can go here and you have all of these filters again to generate the report that you are looking for. So again, Safety Coalition, age range of the driver. So I know it's crazy, but you have 1 to 14. There could be crashes involving drivers who are not licensed. So let's click on that real quick. And again, who do you guys deal with? You deal with upcoming drivers, drivers that do not have their license yet. I know growing up, I had several friends where their parents would say, hey, you know, run to the corner store and grab this for me. You've got your permit, you're fine. Or, but so it does happen. And we want to incorporate that into our teaching as well. So a lot of kids, a lot of adults think that they are invincible. And it's human nature to think something is safe until it's not, until something directly happens to you or someone that is close to you. Okay, so again, you can select your drivers, driver age. Let's see, 1 second. So I'm gonna click 15 to 17 because that is the majority of what our driving schools are handling. That's their target audience. I know sometimes you do have older drivers as well. Contributing factor, you have your alcohol involved, distracted, intersection, no restraint, roadway departure, young driver. So yes, I want to hit on young drivers. All right, so vehicle 1, it says, what is this right here? Let's click this. It says, by choosing yes, this dashboard will show only results for persons designated to have been driving vehicle 1. This designation is customarily used by investigating officers to indicate the at-fault vehicle in a crash. So I'm going to keep it at all vehicles right now. But if you wanted to look at fault to see if your young drivers are in that area, you could click yes. So you know what, I'll do that for now. So we can see how the information changes. Driver predicted alcohol, your sex, male, female, not reported. And that brings me to something else. Our crash reports that compile and build this dashboard are currently under the process of being updated. So our trending is going to be even more refined over the next 5 years. So you'll start seeing some changes, and positive changes, because our data is going to be more accurate. Our new crash reports that are coming out are electronic crash reports that take away a lot of the human subjectivity that sometimes the officers can unconsciously incorporate into their crash reports. So that's something else that's exciting, that's going to be going into and bettering our current trending tools, and this being one of them. Seatbelt used. Okay, so you have the option, was the seatbelt used? Was it used improperly? Was none used? Unknown. Again, that's that crash report. Sometimes we don't know, or sometimes it wasn't input onto the crash report, or not reported at all. Year range. But what's cool about this one, just like each of them, it has multiple reports in one. So you have driver time, which we discussed on the previous one, so I'm not going to go through that again. You have driver characteristics. So let's click on that. And you're going to see these change. All right. So right here, this dashboard displays information about drivers and fatal and severe injury crashes in Louisiana. So right here, alcohol test status. No test given, 292 for drivers of the age of 15 through 17. So meaning these 292 were not suspected of impairment. Tests given to 168 of them. This is 33.14% of the 15 to 17 age range of these drivers. Not reported. Tests given, results pending. So at fault vehicle. So this shows you that 168, and I do want to take a moment to note that this 168 follows suit with this 168. I don't know for sure if they're the exact same, but looking at this, a little bit suspicious. So what I've deemed and learned from this particular one is that impairment is something that I definitely want to make sure I have incorporated into my instruction for these young and upcoming drivers. So BAC results, distraction type, unknown, not distracted. Other inside the vehicle, other outside the vehicle, 4%, 4 for cell phone, not reported, and other electronic device. Now remember, this is a tiered down report of just drivers 15 to 17 that are in vehicle 1, meaning the at-fault vehicle. Another thing that I feel that I really need to mention here is distracted driving, and you'll see it in our dashboard, is very underreported. And that is one reason for that is the way our current law is written. It's very hard to cite drivers for distracted driving in certain instances. And that's another thing that Destination Zero Deaths has a mission of doing, is getting legislation passed that will better our laws to make them more clear, to hopefully take away a lot of the distraction behaviors you're seeing out on the roadways. I know if you're like me, if you're on the road at all, you can look to the left, you can look to the right, the front or behind you, you are going to see someone distracted. And distracted driving has proven to be, data proven to be, and can be just as dangerous as impaired driving. So on that note, before I move on, distraction is a big deal. It's underreported, it's growing, and I want you to know that as your coalition coordinators, in coordination with resources and tools such as this dashboard, we are working very hard to create and develop initiatives and actions and collaborate with driving schools, with education, with all types of agencies on things that can help drive down distracted driving. And one of these is a statewide distracted driving lesson plan. And we would love to be able to work with our driving schools to incorporate that into your instruction. So that's my sidebar on that. And you will receive information on that distracted driving lesson plan as well going forward. But again, let me get back to the purpose of this, and that is our dashboard. Before moving on to our next dashboard, are there any questions? I know we're at the 5-minute mark. Okay, so let's get back. So we've gone over the driver dashboard. The next is the person dashboard. And I'm going to stay on the presentation just for time, and you'll have more time to play around with this. But the person dashboard, we just got off of the driver dashboard that is specific to the driver. The person dashboard is any other person involved in that crash, whether it is a front seat occupant, whether it is a back seat, whether it is a vulnerable user. So this is going to tear down those reports to any other person in that vehicle. It provides information on the persons involved in a range of non-apparent injury crashes all the way to fatal. So you have the ability to tear down this report in your analysis to get exactly what it is you're looking for. You have your time, which is, again, we've gone over that, your month, your day of the week, the trending, the vehicle types, and then you have the demographic option as well, along with all of those other filters with your safety coalition, the injury level, the contributing factor, the person type, the age range group, the gender, the seatbelt usage, the demographic category, the age range, the race, the sex. So on all of these dashboards, you have so much information there that you can compile and put into a little box that is easily presentable or easily interjected into your instruction. And again, it is standardized, it is accurate, and this is very user-friendly. And you have the option to share it right from your desktop, to download it, to print it. So moving on, so I can actually finish and get to this stuff, we have our vulnerable road users dashboard. It has all of the tools of the other ones, but it is dedicated to vulnerable road users, your cyclists, your pedestrians. Again, you can tear it down to your region, to your parish, and then you can compare it to the state. You have this dashboard that provides you the information on our vulnerable road users and any of the suspected serious injuries and fatal crashes that they're involved in. So this is another area that we see that are continuing to kind of escalate in our state with our pedestrians, our bicyclists, and our motorcyclists. So this is another area that you want to make sure that your young and upcoming drivers are aware of, that they know the laws surrounding their responsibility and accountability on the roadway in relation to our vulnerable users, which is very important. Okay, so now we're to the questions. Do we have any questions before we go on to what's coming next?
Question.
Okay. Let's see. I don't see it.
Is there data given as to the drastic plunge in number of persons in 21 and 22?
Okay, so is there a reason for the plunge in numbers from 21 to 22? All right, so 2022 is not finalized at all. One thing that these dashboards are dependent upon is the timeliness of the report submitted to the state to what you heard me talk about earlier was crash 1 and crash 2. So right now, 2022 is far from complete. We'll continue to get crash data into 2023 for 2022. So that is one reason. It is far from complete. We do not have all of the crashes. You have to think we are waiting for state police. We are waiting for regional, for parish law enforcement officers, for city, for towns, for universities, and not all of them get them in the next day. Some of them it's months. And then reports have to be updated. You have serious injuries that end up going to fatal. So before all of that data can be put in here, it's got to be clean, it's got to be verified, and we've got to get all of that in. So 2022 looks low right now, but it's going to change. 2021, we have seen historical numbers that Louisiana hasn't seen, I don't think, ever in our fatalities. So there is a lot of research, and I imagine there are going to be even more studies into why that occurred, because it wasn't just in Louisiana, it was nationwide. But in Louisiana, not only were we going through and coming out of a pandemic, we had multiple natural disasters hit. So you have infrastructure that's changed. You have people's emotions and state of minds that have changed. You have landmarks that are no longer there. You have a lot of out of state and out of town people coming into our state to assist us get back on our feet. So there are a lot of factors that go into why 2021 was so high. And we're hoping not to continue that trend, but right now it's not looking good. And so that's why it's so important, again, for all of us to be able to share our resources, share our tools, and get on the same train to the destination of 0 deaths. So in relation to the dashboard, the guru of this and who can help, along with your coordinators, is Janine Childers. You can take a snapshot of this screen. She is the SHSP Outreach Coordinator. She works with CARTS. Please remember CARTS, Center for Analytics and Research in Transportation Safety. I'm telling you, you're going to want to know that in a few minutes. And that's with LSU. Here is the telephone number, and here is her email, jchilders1, that is a 1, at lsu.edu. All right. So what's next? You're going to be sent a link to the webinar quiz. Everyone who has participated, you're going to have to individually take this quiz with your email. So if you want course credit for this, one, you had to be a participant and you had to put your name in that box. If your name's not in that box and we get a quiz from you, you're not going to get credit, because who's to say you didn't get the link from someone else? So take this moment. If you have not put your name in the box, put it in there with your email address, because we're going to match that to what comes in on the quizzes. All right, all quiz takers, once you have taken the quiz, you are going to receive an email containing your CEU course certificate, granted you pass. Regardless of whether you passed or not, you're going to get a copy of the SHSP crash data dashboard definitions. You're also going to get a copy of the CARTS crash data dashboard bulleted reference guide. I'm sorry. All right, so we want to thank everyone for coming. We appreciate the involvement. We appreciate your dedication to our young and upcoming drivers. We appreciate your dedication to safety and to joining us in our mission to reach Destination Zero deaths. So Ron, any last words?
Just very quick, special thanks to Amber for coming all the way over from Lake Charles to help pull this off. Important to everybody else is we have 2 additional upcoming webinars, and once we have determined the dates of those webinars and we have those penned in and not penciled in, I will be sending out notifications. Amber will be sending out notifications. We'll let everybody know what those dates are for the 2 future webinars that we have coming up.
All right, so if that's it, we're gonna call it a wrap. And we again thank all of you. We thank our partners, CARTS. We thank Destination Zero Deaths, all of the coordinators, all of the instructors, all of the driving schools. Thank you, and please let us know if you need something. Our contact information will be in the email that you receive with the quiz link. So thank you again and have a great day.